Okay, we go to the next sutta, 98, Vasettha Sutta, to Vasettha. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Icha Nangala, in the wood near Icha Nangala. Now on that occasion, a number of well-known, well-to-do Brahmins were staying at Icha Nangala, that is, the Brahmin Chanki, the Brahmin Taruka, the Brahmin Pokarasati, the Brahmin Janusoni, the Brahmin Todeya, and other well-known, well-to-do Brahmins. Then while the Brahmin students, Vasettha and Bharadvaja, were walking and wandering for exercise, this discussion arose between them. How is one a Brahmana? The Brahmin student Bharadvaja said, when one is well born on both sides of pure maternal and paternal descent, 7 generations back, unassailable and impeccable in respect of birth, then one is a Brahmana. The Brahmin student Vasettha said, when one is virtuous and fulfills the observances, then one is a Brahmana. Stop here for a moment. Here, the word Brahmana is translated as a Brahmin. As I mentioned before, this word Brahmana has 2 meanings. One is the Brahmin clan. The Pali word is Brahmana. The other one, because originally the Brahmins were the priest caste, ascetics, holy men. So another meaning of Brahmana is holy men. So here, these 2 students are arguing. One says, because of birth, that one is a Brahmana, in the sense of being holy. The other student says, no, it's actions that make one a holy man. But the Brahmin student Bharadvaja could not convince the Brahmin student Vasettha, nor could the Brahmin student Vasettha convince the Brahmin student Bharadvaja. Then the Brahmin student Vasettha addressed the Brahmin student Bharadvaja, Sir, the recluse Gautama, the son of the Sakyans, who went forth from a Sakyan clan, is living at Icha Nangala, in the wood near Icha Nangala. Now a good report of Master Gautama has been spread to this effect. That Blessed One is Arahant, Sama Sambuddha, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime, knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened, blessed. Come, Bharadvaja, let us go to the recluse Gautama and ask him about this matter. As he answers, so we will remember it. Yes, sir, the Brahmin student Bharadvaja replied. Then the 2 Brahmin students, Vasettha and Bharadvaja, went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. And this courteous and amiable talk was finished. They sat down at one side. And the Brahmin student, Vasettha, addressed the Blessed One in stanzas thus. We are both acknowledged to possess the knowledge we claim of the triple Veda. For I am Pokarasati's pupil, and he a pupil of Taruka. We have attained full mastery over all that the Vedic experts teach. Skilled in philology and grammar, we match our teachers in discussion. A dispute has arisen between us, Gautama, concerning the question of birth and class. Bharadvaja says one is a Brahmana by birth, while I hold one is a Brahmana by action. Know this, O seer, as our debate. Since neither of us could convince the other, or make him see his point of view, we have come to ask you, sir, widely famed to be a Buddha. As people turn with palms upraised towards the moon when it reaches fullness, so in the world do they venerate you and pay homage to you, Gautama. So now we ask of you, Gautama, the I uprisen in the world, is one a Brahmana by birth or action? Explain to us who do not know how we should recognize a Brahmana. And the Buddha said, I will explain to you as they really are, Vasettha, said the Blessed One. The generic divisions of living beings, for many are the kinds of birth. Know first the grass and trees, though they lack self-awareness, their birth is their distinctive mark, for many are the kinds of birth. Next come the moths and butterflies, and so on through as far as ants. Their birth is their distinctive mark, for many are the kinds of birth. Then know the kinds of quadrupeds, of various sorts, both small and large. Their birth is their distinctive mark, for many are the kinds of birth. Know those whose bellies are their feet, to wit, the long-backed class of snakes. Their birth is their distinctive mark, for many are the kinds of birth. Know too the water-dwelling fish, that pasture in the liquid world. Their birth is their distinctive mark for many other kinds of birth. Next know the birds that wing their way as they range in open skies. Their birth is their distinctive mark for many other kinds of birth. While in these birds, the differences of birth make their distinctive mark. With humans, no differences of birth make a distinctive mark in them, nor in the hairs, nor in the head, nor in the ears, nor in the eyes, nor in the mouth, nor in the nose, nor in the lips, nor in the brows, nor in the shoulders or the neck, nor in the belly or the back, nor in the buttocks or the breast, nor in the anus or genitals, nor in the hands, nor in the feet, nor in the fingers or the nails, nor in the knees, nor in the thighs, nor in the color or in voice. Here birth makes no distinctive mark, as with the other kinds of birth. In human bodies in themselves, nothing distinctive can be found. Distinction among human beings is purely verbal designation. Stop here for a moment. So the Buddha says, unlike animals, animals are many different classes, like birds and fish and all that, very different. But in human beings, the Buddha says, human beings are generally all the same. You cannot differentiate them like animals. Who makes his living among men by agriculture, you should know, is called a farmer, Vasettha. He is not a Brahmana. Who makes his living among men by varied crafts, you should know, is called a craftsman, Vasettha. He is not a Brahmana. Who makes his living among men by merchandise, you should know, is called a merchant, Vasettha. He is not a Brahmana or holy man. Who makes his living among men by serving others, you should know, is called a servant, Vasettha. He is not a Brahmana. Who makes his living among men by stealing, you should know, is called a robber, Vasettha. He is not a Brahmana. Who makes his living among men by archery, you should know, is called a soldier, Vasettha. He is not a Brahmana. Who makes his living among men by priestly craft, you should know, is called a chaplain, Vasettha. He is not a Brahmana. Whoever governs among men, the town and realm, you should know, is called a ruler, Vasettha. He is not a Brahmana. Stop here for a moment. So you see, those who make their living by the priestly craft, just because they wear the robe or look like a priest, they are not a holy man. Here the Buddha calls them a chaplain. So it is inside that determines, not the outside. I call him not a Brahmana because of his origin and lineage. If impediments still lurk in him, he is just one who says, Sir, who is unimpeded and clings no more. He is the one I call a Brahmana. Who has cut off all fetters and is no more by anguish shaken. Who has overcome all ties, detached. He is the one I call a Brahmana. Who has cut each strap and thong, the reins and bridle band as well, whose shaft is lifted, the awakened one, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who endures without a trace of hate, abuse, violence and bondage too, with strength of patience well arrayed, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who does not flare up with anger, dutiful, virtuous and humble, subdued, bearing his final body, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Stop here for a moment. So here you see, a holy man, if you abuse him, you are violent towards him, he endures it without hatred, does not flare up with anger, humble. Who, like the rain on lotus leaves or mustard seed on the point of an awl, clings not at all to sensual pleasures, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who knows right here within himself the destruction of all suffering, with burden lowered and detached, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who with deep understanding, wise, can tell the path from the not path, and has attained the goal supreme, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Aloof alike from householders and those gone into homelessness, who wanders without home or wish, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Stop here for a moment. That means is aloof from householders and also aloof from other monks. Who has laid aside the rod against all beings, frail or bold, who does not kill or have them killed, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who is unopposed among opponents, peaceful among those given to violence, who does not cling among those who cling, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who has dropped all lust and hate, dropped conceit and contempt, like mustard seed on the point of an oar, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who utters speech free from harshness, full of meaning, ever truthful, which does not damage anyone, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who in the world will never take what is not given, long or short, small or big, or fair or foul, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who has no more inner yearnings regarding this world and the next, who lives unyearning and detached, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who has no more indulgences, no more perplexity, since he knows, through having reached the deathless sphere, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who by transcending all ties here, about both merit and evil deeds, is sorrowless, stainless and pure, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who pure as the spotless moon, is clear and limpid, and in whom delight and being have been destroyed, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who has passed beyond the swamp, the mire, samsara, all delusion, who has crossed to the further shore and meditates within the jhanas, is unperturbed and unperplexed, attain nibbana through no clinging, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Stop here for a moment. So here you see, meditates within the jhanas. Every time in the suttas, when the Buddha talks about meditation, it is always to do with the jhanas, not vipassana meditation, which was created later. Who has abandoned sensual pleasures and wanders here in homelessness, with sense desires and being destroyed, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who has abandoned craving too, and wanders here in homelessness, with craving and being both destroyed, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who leaves behind all human bonds, and has cast off the bonds of heaven, detached from all bonds everywhere, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who leaves behind delight and discontent, who is cool and without attachment, the hero who has transcended the whole world, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who knows how beings pass away to reappear in many a mode, and clutching he, sublime, awake, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Whose destination is unknown to gods, to spirits and to men, and Arahant with taints destroyed, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who has no impediments at all, before, behind or in the middle, who is unimpeded and clings no more, he is the one I call a Brahmana. The herd's leader, perfected hero, the great seer whose victory is won, unperturbed, cleansed, awakened, he is the one I call a Brahmana. Who knows his manifold past lives and sees the heavens and states of woe, who has reached the destruction of birth, he is the one I call a Brahmana. For name and clan are assigned as mere designations in the world, originating in conventions. They are assigned here and there. For those who do not know this fact, wrong views have long underlain their hearts. Not knowing, they declare to us, one is a Brahmana by birth. One is not a Brahmana by birth, nor by birth a non-Brahmana. By action, one is a Brahmana. By action, one is a non-Brahmana. For men are farmers by the axe, and by the axe are craftsmen too. And men are merchants by the axe, and by the axe are servants too. And men are robbers by the axe, and by the axe are soldiers too. And men are chaplains by the axe, and by the axe are rulers too. So that is how the truly wise see action as it really is. Seers of dependent origination, skilled in action and its results. Action makes the world go round. Action makes this generation turn. Living beings are bound by action, like the chariot wheel by the pin. asceticism, the holy life, self-control and inner training. By this one becomes a Brahmana. In this supreme Brahmanahood lies. One possessing the triple knowledge, peaceful, with being all destroyed. Know him thus, O Vasettha, as Brahma and Sakha for those who understand. When this was said, the Brahmin students, Vasettha and Bharadvaja, said to the Blessed One, Magnificent Master Gotama, Magnificent Master Gotama, and they took refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. From today, let Master Gotama remember us as lay followers who have gone to him for refuge for life. It's the end of the sutta. So here, another two Brahmins were converted by the Buddha. We end here. Anything to discuss? Yes.
Okay. It seems to me that Brahmins, they only accepted the good teachings and they say they are only they follow. But anyone Buddhist, that anyone, any Brahmana, any Brahmana teachings that go
Yeah, if they say they take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, that means they have become Buddhists already. Or monk, yes, there are many. If we look into the this Samyutta Nikaya, there are many, and also Anguttara Nikaya. There are many. After they listen to what the Buddha says, then they ask to be ordained under the Buddha. I think we already read some where the Buddha said normally they have to undergo this probationary period of 4 months, and then some of them they say, oh, if 4 months is needed, I'm willing to be on probation for 4 years, right? Those, so they became monks.
Another question.
Say again.
There's another line of Buddhism,
Oh yes. In the Mahayana Suttas, they like to put down Venerable Sariputta for the reason that when Devadatta caused a schism and left the Buddha asked Venerable Sariputta and Moggallana to go and spread the word that whatever Devadatta does, nothing to do with the Buddha. That means he's no more a disciple of the Buddha. So they went around saying this to all the lay people. So those in this Devadatta's Sangha, the monks, they hated the Sariputta for that. And also because Sariputta does not have psychic power, so they are less afraid of him. They are more afraid of somebody like Moggallana who can read their minds and have psychic power. You see. Also, Venerable Sariputta is the most respected disciple of the Buddha. So he represents the Arahants. He's foremost in wisdom, you see. So these Mahayanis, they wanted to put down Arahants. So they single him out as like a typical Arahant. They make fun of him having no psychic power. In, for example, the Vimalakirti Sutra. And so there are a few reasons like this for putting down Venerable Sariputta.
Could you clarify this one? On page 605, there's a problem in number 51. So that divination is unknown. With God is there in the man. And Arahant with pain destroyed. He is the one that God the mind. The Arahant is God the mind.
Yes. Brahmana, just now I meant in the sense of a holy man. I told you there are two meanings to Brahmana. One is a Brahmin caste, the other one is a holy man. Here we are talking about the holy man. The Arahant is a holy man. And his destination is unknown because when he passes away, his consciousness stops. You cannot locate where his consciousness has gone. So it's unknown where he has gone. Even to gods, gods also don't know where he has gone. Yes. $300. Oh yes. It was on page 762. Okay, shall we end here?